So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, on behalf of ELTAI, I welcome you all for this webinar on Say Yes to Drama in the Classroom. So, before we move on to the webinar, I request the audience to watch a prom clip on ELTAI. Thank you for watching the prom clip of ELTAI. So, before we move on to the program, I have a few announcements or instructions to the participants. We have a chat facility here where participants can share their ideas, and if you have any questions, you can put the questions on there. I mean, on the chat. Maybe during the end of the session, the resource person will answer your questions. And I request the audience not to share your personal email IDs or phone numbers or anything personal on the chat. So we have with us today Dr. M. Sudhadevi. She's an assistant professor of English, SRNM College of College Sato. So she'll be the moderator of the session. Madam, over to you, ma'am. Please take over.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Good evening. Warm greetings from ELTAI. It's my great pleasure to have a few words about Today's resource person, Ms Kritika Dhiwahar, graduated with English Honours from Lady Sri Ram College, Delhi University. The college dramatic society ignited her passion for public speaking and performance arts. Her love for the stage won her a coveted scholarship to the National School of Drama, New Delhi, where she had the opportunity to collaborate with theatre practitioners of national and international repute. Kritika went on to a successful stint in television production and direction in Mumbai, and then shifted gears a decade ago to pursue a master's in English along with a bachelor's in education in Chennai. She received her Cambridge International Diploma in Teaching and Learning and continues to take up every opportunity to learn and sharpen her skills by attending and teaching workshops on theatre, pedagogy, and visual thinking. Presently, she integrates her two main passions, theatre and education, in her multiple roles as a teacher educator, storyteller, and Cambridge certified English language facilitator. Kritika recognizes that enthusiasm is contagious. Her sole mission is to be a career. Dear ma'am, all the participants are eagerly waiting for your presentation. This online grandstand is for you now. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sudha. That was very kind of you to sort of list out all of the things that I had shared. Good evening, everyone. Let me begin by wearing my thinking cap and talk about the context, audience, and purpose of today's webinar. All of you are here today, I'm assuming, because you read the title of the webinar, which was saying yes to drama in the classroom. So I'm not going to spend too much time going back and telling you who I am, because I think Dr. Sudha has done that for me beautifully today. What I am going to do is to tell you that I am actually going to wear my storyteller's hat to take you into my journey of how I said yes to drama in the classroom. So without further ado, these are some of the things that I do, but one of the most important things that I enjoy doing is working with children using drama in the classroom. My journey, I realized that it's important to share the objectives with my learners, to kind of give them a roadmap as to where we are headed and what it is we are going to do. So I thought it was only right that I do the same with all of you, the participants today in this webinar. So here are the objectives. Today we're going to at least attempt to highlight how drama in the classroom enhances the English learning experience. So I'm assuming this audience to be already very deeply invested in teaching of the English language. So I am going to come with a lot of assumptions, hoping that you will sort of come along with me and try and make the connections for yourself and take what is relevant for you, for your classroom practice. We're also going to learn a few drama techniques and activities to use in the classroom. We are going to hopefully create and sort of understand a simple roadmap to creating an English language performance with students in the classroom. So going back to my journey with using drama in the classroom, it was a tumultuous one. I had to convince a lot of stakeholders, management, parents, children, our learners, that it works. And one of the main ways in which I was able to do that was by showing them that it worked. So I will take you through a lot of techniques today, which hopefully you will be able to map to the skills that you would like to build and develop in your learners. The main thing that one needs to remember while using drama in the classroom, and I will not go too much into the how and when, because I'm going to go with the assumption that you are using drama in some form in the classroom already. But what I'm going to share with you today requires a lot of planning and lots of clear instruction. These are essentially the two cornerstones or the foundation blocks for using drama effectively in the English classroom. Yeah. So look out for the instructions that I share, for which I thought, why not go with the 3-act structure that we all are so familiar with. So today's program is also going to be divided into this 3-act structure with a prologue, where I will share some warm-up and lead-in activities with you, exercises, drama exercises. Then we'll move on to Act 1, where I introduce you to some specific drama strategies. Act 2, where I show you how you can introduce the text or a sub-skill into the strategy that you've chosen with your learners. Act 3 would be independent or group practice, and the epilogue, of course, will be the performance itself. So this is how I've sort of structured today's webinar. So look out for the prologue, Act 1, 2, 3, and the epilogue. Why do we use drama to begin with? There's so much drama in our life already. Why do we need drama in the classroom as well? One of the important things that happened to me, which was an eye-opener, was all the stakeholders involved when I started practicing drama in the classroom had 3 things to say. One, that it was a waste of time, a colossal waste of time, to put it sort of subtly, that it was too chaotic and people were all around and there was so much commotion, noise. And the third thing, where is the learning? Everything is just fun. So today I decided, you know these answers that are showing on the screen right now. You know why we use drama. We use it to promote inclusion because everybody participates. It encourages collaboration. It creates a safe space for learners to experience new things, express, experiment. And of course, we are looking to develop skills in multiple disciplines. But more importantly, where is the academic connect? Which is why, for me today, the session is also going to be about drawing those connections and sort of joining the dots, or having you join the dots along with me throughout the session. Because drama provides context for language learning. Language is very abstract, it's very arbitrary, right? We need to know what we are using the language for, signs and signifiers. We all know all of this stuff. What drama does is, despite the fact that it's not sort of tangible, it still in many ways makes it a very tactile world that we can inhabit and kind of be part of while we explore the nuances of language. And I say any language, because drama is very innate. It's very basic for us. The first thing we do when we are born is we cry, and it's a call for help. It is drama, because I will come to the definition of what drama is and also bring in some theories to tell you that it works, because drama really is to act or to do. Here are some of the theories that support drama the usage of drama in language teaching and any classroom transaction. Because drama etymologically goes back to the word drao from the Greeks, which is to do or to act. So I've sort of created these four action statements, if you like, wherein we learn through experiences. Experiential learning, we know the Cope cycle. We go with the flow because we are improvising, we are in the moment, we are feeding off each other, we are acting, we are reacting, we are responding. So the flow theory, we construct new ideas with others as we go along. So we're obviously looking at constructivism. We are building on what we already know and then going from the known to the unknown. And we're doing it together, collaboratively. So we're obviously looking at Brunner and Vygotsky there. I'm sure lots of light bulbs are going on when you look at all of these underlined words. And the last one is we're essentially drawing parallels to real life. And what is language but a way to communicate, to ease our existence in the real life, in what they say IRL in Z generation lingo. So here are the theories that support drama. So I'm not going to waste too much time trying to sell the idea to you. Instead, I'm going to focus on the techniques as to how do we go about using drama in the classroom itself. Yeah. But before we do that, what are we looking to achieve when we use drama in the classroom? So I'm going to sort of quickly bring you into the discussion by getting a poll from you. Look at the three images. Distinctly, there is the life raft, there is this performer on stage, and we all know LSRW skills. So are we looking as facilitators or teachers of the language to build life skills using drama? Are we looking to enhance language skills, or are we looking to target performance skills? So I'm going to start this poll. I'd request all of you to read the question and think about what are you most interested in developing amongst your learners. I already see it is a sort of a catch-22 kind of situation, because I'm sure you already realize that one feeds the other and one cannot sort of exist without the other. And I'm very glad to say that, and I'm not going to wait for too long to end the poll. I am going to sort of end the poll now. So just take another 10 seconds to quickly answer the poll in case you haven't yet already. I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to read out what the results are. 49% of you want to focus on life skills, 34% of us want to focus on language skills, and 16% of us would not mind perhaps if performance skills are enhanced as well. But let me tell you, let me let the cat out of the bag. We are going to look at how all these three things are connected, and the foundation really is the language skills. Hence the LSRW and the fluency aspect is what this idea of life skills and performance skills is built on. So look out for the techniques and figure out what is relevant to your practice. What would you like to use it for? Any of the techniques that we discussed today. All right? Okay. Now quickly moving on. One of the big questions that I always had while I was practicing drama in the classroom, especially in my English classroom, is when do I do it? What's the right time to introduce drama, or what's the right time to do a drama-based exercise or conduct a sort of a process drama work with my class? And the answer was pretty simple, rather basic, because I went back to storytelling. We have 3 parts: beginning, middle, end, 3-act structure, act 1, act 2, act 3. Within the lesson, we have the before, during, or after. So you can introduce drama, exercises, strategies at any point in your lesson. It will make a lot of sense if you kind of adapt the strategies to your learners' needs and figure out what is the best fit. Does this work for this particular purpose, this particular learning outcome that I have defined for my learners and for myself as an objective? So there's no perfect time or there's no perfect fit answer. I will keep urging you to find relevance in what you see ahead. So let's get in straight into our 3-act play for today by never skipping the prologue. The prologue is important, and I'm sure most of you have recognized this. If you're using the chat box, I'm sure you are already telling me that this is from Romeo and Juliet. We know this so well. So I'm going to use the last 3 lines, sort of tweak it, and say that in these 30 to 35 minutes that we have together, the traffic on our stage, the which, if you wish, patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend. Which means that by the end of the webinar, I'm so used to doing lots of workshops in the physical space that this really is a new medium even for me. As you can see, my hands are all over the place. I'm a theater person. I can't sit in one place and just talk to you. I'm essentially just talking to myself, really. It's almost like the mirror exercise that we do in theater. But the idea really is that anything that we miss out or you have less clarity on, I hope to kind of give you enough resources as a backup plan to kind of go and explore on your own as well. So why do I say never skip the prologue? It's important to warm up. So I hope you're here with me, and this is the time that you sort of get geared up and play along with me. Although I can't see you or hear you, I am going to assume that you're playing with me. And here are some warm-up or lead-in games that you can play. And yes, I will make the language connect, because I know we are in an ELTAI webinar and we're not going to just talk about drama frivolously. We are going to make language connections. So the first game we're going to play is ideally played in pairs. It's called 1, 2, 3. The original version is like this, wherein you sort of have 2 people, A and B. One person says 1, claps the hand. The next person says 2. The first person again says 3 and does an action like bending their knees, and then 2, 3, and then bend your knees. So you get the drift. So there's action involved and there's voice involved. The variation comes in where you bring in some sort of language component. In this case, we're looking at, say, for example, parts of speech recognition. So you have 1, adjective, 3, I bend my knees. You say 1, you clap your hands, and I say noun. You 3, bend your knees, and then I give you another part of speech like an adverb, and so on and so forth. You go on listing. Of course, you can translate this and extend this to other aspects of the text. You can look at creating a series of synonyms, antonyms, lexical field awareness, what have you. The variations are something that I absolutely think all of us are very capable of looking at and saying, hey, I can use this for this particular concept that I want to teach, or a skill that I'd like to teach. So we'll move on to the next game, which is called Zip Zap Zoom. And that's, we've all played Buzz when we were children. 1, 2, buzz, 4, 5, buzz, like so. It's pretty much the same. Everyone's in a circle, and we have the first person say zip and clap and point at one person, and the next person says zap and point to the next person, and the next person says zoom. So it goes zip, zap, zoom. So everyone's clapping, pointing to the next person. How do I introduce a language component in this? Beautiful way to introduce categories of words. I've taken a simple example here of, say, fruits. So I say fruits, first person introduces the category, points, says banana, second person repeats banana, points, says apple, apple, point, orange, orange, point. Use the chat box and add your fruit, whatever it is that you'd like to add. This is a wonderful exercise to improve lexical awareness. For little children, categories like these would work. For older ones, you can look at lexical awareness in terms of, say, jargon, medical jargon, military jargon, culinary jargon, anything that you'd like them to then later go on and use in their writing, long form writing. Yeah, so that's zip, zap, zoom for you. Moving on quickly. And this is a question I'm asking all of you. What are you doing? And I hope all of you are doing something right now. So give me an action. It could be brushing your teeth. It could be flying a kite. It could be anything. And one of you, for example, step into the center or switch on your camera if you're on Zoom, because all of us are really now on Zoom. You get into the spotlight and you brush your teeth. The next person tags you and asks you, what are you doing? And I say something different from the action that I am doing. So if I'm brushing my teeth, I say I'm dribbling the basketball. The next person who's tagged me starts doing the action that I have spoken of dribbling the basketball. When he's asked or she's asked what they are doing, they say, I'm flying a kite. Why do we do this? It's wonderful to not just look at grammar concepts in terms of perhaps use it for tenses. What are you doing? What were you doing? What will you be doing? And so on. It's wonderful for little children to make the connection between utterance and thought. What are we thinking and what are we saying? So it's a wonderful sort of connect for both little children and when you're looking to do grammar concepts for older ones, especially middle school, primary and middle school. Yeah, so the next one is my favorite. It's called Imaginarium, and this one is for everyone. And I urge you to play along with me. So if you're on a handheld device, place it somewhere so you can kind of do this along with us. The instructions are here, but why don't you follow the instructions that I am going to call out now? Remember, I told you instructions are key. So I'm going to try and give you some instructions. Say, for example, the topic for today is the beach. And I am the first person who enters the spot or the circle or the spotlight, whatever you'd like to call it. And I say that I'm a starfish and I become a starfish. I don't act like one, but I become it. So I act or become a starfish. So this is my starfish, for example, and the next person who comes in adds to the scene. So let's see, maybe you've become an ice cream, or you've become a spade, or you've become a towel, a sunbather, the sun itself. I don't know what you are hoping, becoming, but I see the chat box is active, and I see that, Pallavi is a seahorse. That's wonderful. I would have loved to see your seahorse, Pallavi. That's fabulous. So this is a great way to create a scene. And imagine doing something like this right before you give them some sort of composition writing work. We often give them pictures and say, look at the picture, describe it. That's composition writing. Yeah. Instead, we have them live it, experience it, become it. And yes, I see Rashmi is a goldfish and Biswajit is a blue whale, and that's wonderful. If you were here and we were in a real-time workshop or even on a Zoom workshop, I would have seen these wonderful shapes emerging and also relationships emerging. And just imagine, suddenly out of the blue ocean, pun intended, a plastic bottle emerges and says, I'm on the beach and I'm a plastic bottle. And imagine the sort of discussion that will lead to when you talk about, why is this plastic bottle here on the beach? Who left it there? Who discarded it? And so on and so forth. And this is a wonderful, setup for any kind of narrative and descriptive writing, especially for the little ones, where they are able to move from what they already know and feed off other people's ideas and make them their own. All you need to do is point to one of them or tap them on the shoulder and have these objects speak. And yes, Aravindan says garbage collector, and I tap on the shoulder of the garbage collector, and the garbage collector says, I collect garbage, tons and tons of garbage every day. The sea is throwing up garbage, it's vomiting. Remember, we are creating situations for them to start experimenting and exploring language. And if we are, of course, all of us are looking at, non-native speakers, and we might think, but what if they do not have the language? They're learning from each other. And there'll always be one child who'll be prompting the other and say, hey, why don't you think of shells? Hey, why don't you think of waves? And so on. And everyone gets involved because they're letting their imagination let loose. So I've been talking for a long time. I am going to take a quick water break. But before I take the water break, I'm going to give you this beautiful video that extends the idea of imagination through visualization. So you use visualization in the classroom to explore a text. Remember, I told you we all work with texts, prose and poems and plays, and we need to complete the syllabus as well. So we have all of that happening. So you begin with this, and then you take them on a journey of exploring the text. So how are we going to do that? We are essentially going to look at something called visualization. This is again for the individual or for the whole class. While I sip on my water, I will play this video for you. Look out for how you can use this in your classroom.
Visualization. Visualization is using our imagination to picture a scene, setting, or environment, to translate words into mental pictures, allowing us to become immersed in the visual world of a story. How? Have the class close their eyes wherever they are
I read a few comments saying the video is not playing. So should I start it again? Pradeep, could you help me on this?
No, this is not for everyone, ma'am. I think for few of
All right.
maybe.
Sure. So we'll just try and play it from where it has.
Anyway, you're going to share the link to them and
Visualization.
They want, they can.
Visualization is using our imagination to picture a scene, setting, or environment, to translate words into mental pictures, allowing us to become immersed in the visual world of a story. How? Have the class close their eyes wherever they are sitting, either on the carpet, in their chairs, or somewhere comfortable. Now, ask the children questions relating to the story or piece of work you want them to visualize. These questions will guide them through the scenes and act as prompts that will fuel their imagination, help them develop clearer pictures. Top tip. It's important to watch a story first. Children will automatically begin to paint mental pictures. This will give you a strong starting point and help the children add detail and colour to the images already there.
So as you saw in the story, Mashenka is left all alone in the cabin, while her parents go out to hunt for the great white buffalo. I want you to close your eyes. Picture yourself in Mashenka's room.
Kritika, ma'am, can you mute your audio?
Imagine looking around the room.
There's an echo.
What's the door like in Mashenka's house? What are the walls like? Her father's chair in the middle. What's that like? Imagine the colour. Does it have arms? How old is it? How big?
The children's images will not be the same as yours, and that's great. It's important not to have consensus, but for all the children to gain confidence in their own images and imagination. Now, really start to dig beneath the surface with sensory questions.
Imagine you are Mashenka, and you've opened the door.
Kritika, ma'am, the video again stopped. Only the voice is on, but the video stopped.
All right. I think we sort of got the drift of where this video was taking us on this journey of visualization. And perhaps you want to quickly type out in the chat box what you think is a place that you might use this technique in your classroom for. I would use it for descriptive writing, to expand the imagination, to explore creative boundaries, use sensory vocabulary, 5 senses, connecting text and context. Again, look at how the text was introduced and how questioning techniques were used in order for learners to think beyond the text, or get deeper into the text. Also improving descriptive writing. So this is a wonderful visualization technique that I'm sure many of us do. This is also great for when you have shown them a video of the story. There are lots of videos in the NCERT websites as well for most of the lessons as well. Or you are a wonderful storyteller yourself and you're reading aloud and you have them close their eyes and visualize. So visualization is a great technique, and this is number 0 because it is the foundation for any other techniques that you might use going forward. So we'll quickly move on to Act 1. We're running short of time, so I'm going to skip a few things because technology really does trouble us most of the time. So I'm going to introduce a couple of strategies to you. Again, I hope the videos play. Some of the strategies are here, and I will share the video links with you as well. Very self-explanatory like the last one was, and you can look at those videos in your own time and look at how you can implement those strategies in your classroom. One of the main ones that I'm going to talk about is freeze frame along with thought tracking. So let's quickly watch what freeze frame is all about. Could you let me know if the video is playing right?
Freeze frame.
Yes.
Freeze framing,
yes,
sometimes known as tableau or still image, is a drama technique used to help focus on an important moment in a story. How? Ask the children to pick a character from a particularly memorable point in the story. Now, ask them to make still images with their bodies to represent that moment. Top tip: freeze framing is most effective when used with thought tracking, when the children speak their characters' thoughts aloud to show what they're thinking at that frozen moment. Ask them to describe what character their image represents, how they're feeling, and what part of the story they came from.
Who are you?
I'm Theseus.
What can you see?
I can see the Minotaur.
What's around you?
The walls of the tunnel, really dark and smelly.
How do you feel right now?
Really scared, but really excited.
And what do you have in your hand?
My sword, ready to strike the Minotaur.
And you?
I'm Theseus, looking out to sea on our way home.
How do you feel right now?
Happy that I killed the Minotaur and I'm going back home to tell everyone.
I'm Theseus, hanging from the grill about to drop into the tunnel. I'm very nervous because I don't know what's down there.
Now, arrange the children in chronological order of when their freeze frames happened in the story. In this way, you can clearly show both the narrative journey and the emotional journey of the character throughout the story.
So you can see, at different parts of the story, the character goes through many different feelings and emotions.
The children can also explore different points in the story in groups, creating a living story map. You can also take a snapshot or still image of the whole scene, exploring everything that is happening in the story at that one specific moment in time. Why? Freeze framing is one of the most flexible drama techniques and can be used to achieve many outcomes. It's very useful for deconstructing, humanizing, and getting under the skin of a character or of a specific moment. By having the children create their own interpretation of a scene, they get a greater understanding of what is affecting the characters and why they make the decisions they do in the story. Top tip: remember, it's the discussion that comes from doing the freeze frames that is most important. 5 great reasons for freeze framing. Really helpful for understanding sequencing and narrative structure, exploring how a character develops and changes throughout a story, great opportunity for meaningful discussion, effective way to deepen the understanding of the story, which leads directly to better writing and performance.
Freeze framing can be used effectively with all ages.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that little video. This technique is almost the foundation for any other drama techniques that you might use. The idea being that you have your learners either first read the text or think about the text or make assumptions, guesses, informed or otherwise, about the text itself, and then create these freeze frames from the point of view of the characters. You saw how it will allow us to look at the narrative arc, something that we really often struggle to explain to our learners. So this is a wonderful way of introducing that. And here are some of the other things that freeze frames really help you do. Sequencing, beginning, middle, end, helps with the comprehension, of course, writing. And it's most important that you have discussions once you've created these freeze frames with your learners. Works beautifully on in the online sessions as well, where they sort of take a little bit of space and create these freeze frames. Yeah. So moving on, a very important thing to do is to scaffold your learners along with these techniques with some sort of graphic organizers or templates, guided templates of this kind, to help them get a more immersive and more connected experience with LSRW skills. So they're not just listening and speaking, they're also reading and writing using graphic organizers of this kind. Remember, the second half of the video spoke about thought tracking, and where each character that is frozen in time is comes alive and speaks. So I've taken this grade 5 NCERT text. We all know this story very well, Washington Irving's Rip Van Winkle. So imagine showing them these 3 pictures, asking them to create the freeze frame, and then bringing on conversations about who is Rip and what does Rip, sort of look like, or what his character is like, what his attitude is like, what is the difference between the Rip we see at the beginning of the story and the one that we see at the end. Is he a reliable narrator for the story? What happens when it's told from the third person perspective? What happens to the story when Rip talks about it himself? So there are so many ideas that you can discuss with your learners just using the thought tracking technique, where you have your learners think aloud as the characters. Yeah, I'm sure you're already making connections with role play. I will send you the resources. You will watch the video on role play and understand that we really know or use very little of role play in our classroom, and it usually ends up being memorization. I'm not going to do Conscience Alley and hot seating right now, just because we don't have enough time. But just to quickly tell you, Conscience Alley is something, if you're deeply interested in teaching your learners argumentative writing or discursive writing or opinion writing, you want to set up a debate in your classroom, Conscience Alley is a wonderful technique to use. Likewise, hot seating is fabulous to teach prose and poetry, to understand perspectives and personas. Once you watch the videos, they're pretty self-explanatory. They take you through the steps of the instructions that you need to give as a facilitator and what you expect your learners to do. Look at the last 2 points. We're also looking at integrating stage performance skills and language skills. So it's not just one. We are looking to target all. Yeah. So quickly moving on to one of the most important things that I want to talk about, and really fast, is readers' theater. And I'm sure many of you have used it in some form. In most cases, I'm sure you've done chain reading, popcorn reading, read aloud in the classroom. But here, in this case, the reader's theater is something where the script goes on stage as well. And if you look at the first point, it talks about developing the script from the text, either prose or poetry itself. So I'm just going to quickly tell you, it's not about rote memory. It's not about memorizing dialogues. It's about reading aloud on stage with all your peers who have speaking parts. One person can, play multiple parts. The idea is to use your voice to emote. This is something that I'm sure you know of also as radio plays. Slight difference, but pretty much in the same trajectory. It's wonderful to have your learners explore a text using readers' theatre. It's great for genre conversion, for mixing genres. So look at how this text kind of gets incorporated. Again, Rip Van Winkle, but as a readers' theatre script where everyone has speaking parts, and look at how the rhyme scheme has been used to talk about the same concept or story or idea. Yeah, so I'm not going to read the script for you. This is just to give you an idea. Remember, today's webinar is about exposure as opposed to expertise. For expertise, it's best anyone doing a drama workshop online or offline, please take the opportunity and attend them. They're important because they also make us very lively in our classroom transactions. Yeah. Act 3 is, of course, independent or group practice. You already saw group work through readers' theatre or in any of the other techniques that you might use, and followed up by individual writing work, because we all are teachers. We want to do our assessments. We want to figure out how evaluation will work. So here is a great way, again, staying with the same text of Rip Van Winkle, write a monologue from the perspective of Wolf, the dog, in the story. And here's the monologue that they might produce after having gone through all of these processes. And they might say something like, woof, what a lot of trouble it was, which I am certainly not saying in the case of this webinar. It has been wonderful. Which brings us to performance, to do or not to do. Should we be performance oriented? Should we have parts? You look like the king, I will cast you as the beggar, and so on. Gone are those days. We are looking at participatory theatre. We are looking at applied process drama, wherein you're looking to make connections with language learning outcomes. We are not looking to put the brightest looking or the tallest looking or the loudest one on stage. That's not how drama in the classroom works anymore. We're looking to create collaborative performances of the learners, by the learners, with the learners, that they proudly own and put up on stage for whoever wants to watch. Could be any of the stakeholders that we've been talking about so far. What role do you play? You can jump into the director's seat, the facilitator on the side. Never become the sage on stage. It's not necessary, because children really know what they're doing once they know the technique. It's not even a bad idea to show them these videos and say, how should we go about doing this in our classroom for this particular chapter or for this particular story? They become co-actors. They become script writers. In the online space, they become voiceover artists, dubbing artists, set designers, prop masters, and what have you. You're obviously looking at multiple intelligence here. You're looking to differentiate based on the skills that they are excited about. They, whatever rocks their boat, really. So quick recap and roadmap. Always warm up the learner with one of the exercises or drama games. Introduce a drama technique. Always map it to a text or a concept or a skill. Provide lots of opportunities for them to practice and perform, and then have lots of discussion, reviews, and reflection about the process, not the product. Remember, we are looking at process drama, not theater, stage performances. We're looking to be smart and not Shakespearean. We're looking to specific skill, specific strategy, desk combination. We're looking to measure the learning, not the learner. We're looking to act proactively, responding in a situation, not reacting, saying voice is too loud, voice is too feeble, stand up straight, none of that. We're allowing them to live these experiences. And to do that, we'll have to respect every contribution that's made. So one of the most important games that we play in improvisational drama or improv is called yes and. So you say yes to drama and you say, and I can also add visualization, I can add some other strategy that works along with this. I can use graphic organizers. I can use some other technique that has worked for me in the past. I can flip my classroom. There's always scope for more. So always say yes and, but time it right. When I say time it right, is your learner ready? Remember, Maslow first, Bloom's next. First, take care of all their needs. Make sure they feel safe and happy to contribute, and then take them to higher levels of engagement, and the output will surprise you, because it's not just speaking, listening, reading, and writing. You look at how comprehension gets enhanced, inference skills, all other sub skills that you'd like to target get absolutely nailed. I think this is a good time to quickly post all of these links in the chat box for our participants. All of the videos that you watched here today are from YouTube. They're available for everyone. I've just done the job of curating them for you and providing them to you in context. You can also follow me on Facebook. We call ourselves A Teacher Prepares. And I've been working a lot in teacher education as well to empower more teachers to use drama in their classroom. So if you want to see snippets of how that has been working out, here is a blog post that blog that you can visit. It is Blogging with Velamalians. They do this wonderful thing called the Big Act every year. And I'm not with them presently, but they still continue to take the torch and move it forward. And it's wonderful, the kind of work that they do. All resources available at dramaresource.com and dramanotebook.com. There is nothing really that I can sell or tell to you, except the fact that if you do find an opportunity or can create an opportunity to practice drama with a trainer or with a facilitator, lap it up immediately. There's nothing like experiencing it for yourself. Once you've experienced it and then you unleash it onto your learners, you'll see magic happen. With that, I invite any questions that you might have. But before you have questions, I have a question for you. With whatever little that I was able to share with you, I would like to see if you are ready to use drama in the classroom. So I'm going to start a poll and ask you a very basic question. And the question is, do you feel excited to use drama in your classroom? I'm hoping there'll be more yeses, less not yets, and soon. And I am going to trick you into saying yes, because the other two really are just different ways of saying yes, perhaps at a later date. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, ELTAI. I wish we had more time, and I'm sorry that I've kind of gotten into the questions time, but I'm here in case you have any questions. Please let me know, and I would love to take those questions. Yeah, and I already see a 95% yes, and that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for your extraordinary presentation. Ma'am, I request you to clarify participants' questions.
Yes.
The first question, Dr. Lap Singh, up to what class or level this method of using drama will be effective?
That's a wonderful question. And I think at the end of each video that you watch, there was a disclaimer saying works for all ages. And I'll tell you why it works for all ages. I also practice psychodrama. I practice applied theater, process drama, theater of the oppressed. These are all adult learning spaces. And the same techniques are used in adult learning spaces as well. It's about how we treat our learners during these interventions. If we are going to tell them that this is meant only for children, they will perceive it like that. If we tell them, let's play, there's no age for playing. And I think I read a question somewhere in the chat box which said, how is it different from the playway method? How is drama different from that? Drama's basis, the essence itself is play. let's play, because remember, a play is a play. So there's no real age. It's how you contextualize. Remember, always wear your cap. Context, audience, purpose. Clarity is important. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. The second question is from Mr. Arvindan. Does cultural background of the learners influence their performance skills while learning through drama?
Again, the question that I had asked you in the poll, what are we looking to focus on? Are we looking at academic language skills? Are we looking at life skills? Are we looking at performance skills? There might be some learners who might be learning classical dance or classical music, and they might be more confident in terms of their stage presence. And there might be others who have no exposure to any sort of performance art. But here, remember, using drama in the classroom is very specific to language learning outcomes. And when you treat it that way, we are not looking to create the next Shakespeare or have them become these histrionic geniuses. We are looking to see what is the learning that's happening within the process, which is why it's called process drama, not product. We're not looking at annual day productions. We are not looking at putting up a skit on stage. One of the questions that I didn't ask you was a poll question was, do you already use role play? I'm sure the answer is yes. Do you use skit? The answer must have been yes. Do you use read alouds? The answer must have been yes. Do you do annual day productions? The answer must be yes. This is not any of those. There might be some similarities, but here we're looking at text, context, subtext through exploratory methods. Yeah, so we're not looking at who's louder, who's has a better stage presence or any such thing. So really, cultural background should not be a deterrent at all, because these are all international practices and universally applicable to everyone. Are there any other questions that I can take?
Yes, ma'am. The third question is from Ms. Naila Khanam. How can we freeze frame strategy for teaching drama to higher level learners?
Or Neela, I think it works beautifully, the freeze frame strategy. I would suggest you go look it up again on YouTube. There are lots of videos available for how you can connect it with the text. In this case, remember, we looked at Rip Van Winkle, the story, and how you can have them read the story first or watch a video about the story, create those freeze frames, and then think about what are the characters doing, thinking, feeling at that moment. So wonderful for narrative writing, especially. Again, freeze frames is also very nice if you want to, kind of create emphasis on moments in the story. So you get them to read a particular paragraph and then create a frame or an action, either individually or as a scene, where there's not much speaking. So there's less chaos as well. Is it mime? No, mime is a little different, but here you're just freezing in action. And while you're freezing in action, you are also thinking about why you're doing that particular action. So there's a lot of cognitive and process involved, and there's critical and creative thinking involved. So it works in many layers. Of course, you'll have to follow it up with some writing work. End of the day, it all comes down to assessment and evaluation. But what it does is it enhances what they write. They're not, pulling out ideas from thin air. They have a base on which they can found their writing. And that makes all the difference. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, this is the last question, ma'am. This question is from Biswajit Zina. Are these drama techniques going to work in higher classes as well?
I get this question all the time, and I'm going to tell you that I have been working from K to 12, and mainly I'm a higher secondary teacher myself. There will be a lot of, but ma'am, we don't do drama. We are not children anymore. Why are you telling us a story? And so on and so forth. There will be resistance. But the idea is for you to buy into the idea first. If you buy into the idea, and the best way to buy into the idea is not just by watching videos, experience it by attending a workshop, either online or offline, and to invite them to say, listen, let's try this. Let's see if it works. Let's sort of create this environment and see whether we are able to draw something from that. In isolation, if you were to create any of this, they might not work immediately. What I would suggest is that you sort of use other strategies like guided writing templates or some sort of close aid reading activities and so on, where your culmination or your product could be a demonstration based on one of these strategies. That's a great place to start. So it does work with high school children. They thoroughly enjoy it. They will do all this nakra and drama, quote unquote, in curly quotes, but it will happen. And I can tell you that for sure because it works. It's just getting the stakeholders to buy in. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for your elaborate and brief answers. Thank you. It's a privilege.
Thank you so much.
It's a privilege and a great joy for me to extend a vote of thanks to all those who have contributed in one way or the other to make this e-webinar a successful one. My special thanks goes to the resource person, Ms Kritika Dhiwahar, English language facilitator and teacher educator. Ma'am, your presentation inspires us to dream more, to do more and become more. Thank you. Thank you, dear participants.
Thank you so much. It was entirely my privilege. And thank you, Dr. Sudha. You've been wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
you for just, if I can take a moment to thank all the participants. I've not been able to read all the chat box messages, but I know and I see that you're very interested and excited about this. Keep the drums rolling and keep the drama coming in your classroom and in life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Dear participants, I'll take a couple of minutes of your time. I would like to introduce the webinar for the next week, that is on 14 November, on understanding the experience of debilitated English learners with neurolinguistics programming. The resource person for this session will be Dr. John A. Joseph. He's a professional coach, counselor, and trainer. Thank you, audience, for attending this session, and I request the audience to register for the session that you'll see on the screen and get benefited. Thank you.